Well, hello dragons, and welcome to this instructional video for Lesson 10 Part 3, Unions and Management. The main idea behind this economics lesson is unions and management both have methods and strategies to use during contract negotiations. With that in mind, by the end of watching this video, you will be able to identify the major issues discussed in labor contract negotiations, summarize how unions and management reach a contract agreement, and explain the negotiation tactics used by unions and management. Now that the outcomes for this lesson have been shared with you, let's get started. As noted in the last video, unions are organizations of workers who pool their resources and efforts to secure fair pay, better benefits, safe working conditions, and job security. How can labor unions work to achieve these goals? What tactics do dissatisfied workers sometimes employ? And how does management respond to these tactics? The labor movement in the United States traditionally has focused on practical issues that affect workers on a daily basis. In negotiations between labor and management, 5 major issues usually are discussed: wages and fringe benefits, working conditions, job security, union security, and grievance procedures. Suppose that Cara is a leader of the tour workers union in San Francisco. The union includes local tour guides, bus and van drivers, and office workers. For several years, Cara worked as a tour guide, so she understands many of the challenges faced by tour workers. The union is currently negotiating a labor contract with a new tour company, and the 5 issues listed are under discussion. The union's first major concern is about wages paid to tour guides, drivers, and office workers. Wages are set by labor contracts and vary according to the type of position held and the number of years a worker has been on the job. Tour guides and drivers probably will be paid different amounts, just as a guide with 10 years of experience will most likely earn more money than a newly hired guide. The labor contract also outlines the policy for paying overtime to tour employees working more than the standard 40-hour work week. In addition, the contract includes a cost of living adjustment, or COLA. A COLA automatically raises employee wages to match widespread price increases, allowing workers to maintain their purchasing power. In addition to negotiating for higher wages, Cara, as a union representative, tries to ensure that the tour workers will receive fringe benefits in the labor contracts. Fringe benefits are non-wage payments, commonly including paid sick days, holidays and vacation days, health and life insurance, and savings and retirement plans. Many companies also provide profit sharing as well as employee stock ownership plans, or ESOPs. During profit sharing, a firm distributes a portion of its profits to workers. An ESOP provides workers with stock in the company. By providing higher benefits only if the company does well, profit sharing in the ESOP provides an incentive for employees to work hard. Cara also tries to secure good working conditions for union employees. In addition to conditions at the tour office, Cara works to improve conditions at the tour locations that workers will visit, such as Fisherman's Wharf, Golden Gate Park, and Lombard Street. Desiring working conditions including a clean and safe workplace, clearly defined work responsibilities, and reasonable working hours. Cara tries to make sure that the labor contract specifies the number of hours a guide is expected to lead each week, the types of vehicles drivers will operate, the ease of contacting and gaining assistance from the tour office, and the maximum number of visitors on each tour. As she negotiates the contract, Cara focuses on the need for the new company to provide job security. The legal system provides some job security for workers. For example, the law prohibits an employer from firing an employee because of race, sex, religion, age, or union activity. Union negotiators typically seek contracts that give greater job security through the seniority system. Seniority is the holding of privileges based on the number of years a worker has been employed by a firm. Labor contracts usually protect seniority by requiring that workers with the least seniority be the first to lose their jobs in the event that the company must reduce its workforce. In other words, if the tour company is forced to lay off workers, a tour bus driver who has been working for 6 months will lose his job before a driver who has held her job for 3 years. As she negotiates the terms of the labor contract, Kara also ensures that workers are free to join the union. In other words, employees of the new tour company will be able to participate in the union without worrying about whether company owners approve of union activities. In its broadest sense, union security provides workers with the right to organize and join a union. This right is enforced by the National Labor Relations Board, or the NLRB. How does a union become the negotiating body for workers in a company? First, at least 30% of a firm's employees must sign a petition informing the NLRB that they want to hold an election to determine whether a majority of employees want to unionize. Second, the NLRB conducts the election using a secret ballot, which allows workers to vote without fear of harassment or intimidation. If the majority of workers favor unionization, the NLRB recognizes the union as the only bargaining representative for the company's employees. When a work-related dispute arises, either labor or management may seek resolution by following a particular set of steps. For example, suppose that one of the tour guides feels that she is not receiving as many tour assignments as she should. If union representatives agree and feel that management has violated provisions outlined in the labor contract, the union may begin grievance procedures. Grievances, or formal complaints, usually are resolved by committees made up of representatives of the union and the management. If this procedure does not resolve the problem, a negotiator is brought in by the NLRB. Both sides, union and management, must agree to give the negotiator all applicable information and to abide by the negotiator's decisions. You have learned about the major issues in contract negotiations. How do union representatives and management arrive at an agreement on these issues? When negotiating a new contract with management, union leaders speak for all the members they represent. During this process, known as collective bargaining, union and management representatives meet to discuss their goals and offer solutions and compromises. In most cases, collective bargaining results in a contract settlement. At times, however, other negotiation methods must be used. Sometimes the bargaining process breaks down and labor and management are unable to make any progress. In this case, they may resort to mediation. In mediation, negotiators call in a neutral third party, or mediator, to listen to the agreements of both sides and to suggest ways in which an agreement may be reached. Who serves as a mediator? Mediation services are offered by private citizens and government agencies alike. In addition, the Taft-Hartley Act of 1947, which gives the government the power to regulate relations between labor and management, established the Federal Mediation and Conciliation Services, or the FMCS. The FMCS mediates thousands of disputes every year. In some cases, neither collective bargaining nor mediation results in a contract settlement. A third method of reaching an agreement is arbitration. Like mediation, arbitration calls for the assistance of a negotiator to arrive at a contract. An arbitrator, like a mediator, is a neutral third party. Unlike in mediation, however, an arbitrator's decision is legally binding. What happens when unions and management are unable to reach an agreement through collective bargaining, mediation, or arbitration? In some cases, unions may resort to a strike, in which they call for union members to stop working until contract demands are met. Most strikes are called over wage disputes. For example, a salary dispute between professional baseball players and major league team owners led to a shortened 1994 season and the cancellation of that year's World Series, as well as a delayed start for the 1995 season. Other strikes have been called because of poor working conditions, lack of benefits, and unfair management practices. In August 1997, for example, the Teamsters Union organized a strike against United Parcel Service, or UPS. Demanding more full-time jobs and improved benefits such as pensions, some 185,000 employees participated in the strike. The company's delivery rate dropped from an average of 12 million packages a day to about 120,000. Mediation by the federal government helped to end the 15-day strike, as UPS management agreed to a number of union demands. Strikes often involve more than the stoppage of work. 3 tactics commonly are used in carrying out strikes: picketing, boycotting, and coordinated campaigning. Imagine that the assembly line workers at the Mary Marker Crayon Company go on strike. They decide to picket the company, parading in front of the plant while carrying signs that explain their grievances. Why might they decide to adopt this tactic? The tactic of picketing has 3 purposes. First, it informs the public that a strike is in progress. Passers-by will see the striking workers and read the grievances listed on their signs. Second, picketing may arouse public support. Some members of the public may identify with the problems of the striking workers. Third, picketing discourages non-strikers from entering the plant. Some workers who did not join the strike may be too intimidated to return to work if they must walk through the group of striking workers. Workers who cross the picket line, called scabs, are often insulted by strikers. If picketing does not help resolve a contract dispute, a union might decide to organize a boycott. A primary boycott is an organized effort to stop purchases of a firm's products. Most primary boycotts are organized on a basic level, but some have been successful on a national scale. During the 1960s, Cesar Chavez led the National Farm Workers Association in an attempt to improve the wages and working conditions of migrant agricultural laborers. The union expanded and became known as the United Farm Workers, or UFW. In 1965, the union organized a primary boycott of grapes. Millions of consumers across the United States supported the union by refusing to buy grapes. This primary boycott lasted for 5 years until grape growers in California agreed to a contract with the union. A secondary boycott is a refusal to buy the goods or services of any firm that does business with a company whose employees are on strike. For example, you would be participating in a secondary boycott if you refused to buy lunch or any other goods at the Griffin's Nook Comic and Sandwich Shop because the store carried comic books by White Tiger Press, whose employees are on strike. The Taft-Hartley Act, however, made secondary boycotts illegal if workers are striking in an attempt to make that employer join a boycott of another firm. The third tactic that unions may use is called coordinated campaigning, which involves the use of picketing as well as boycotts. For example, in 1985 and 1986, a local union of the United Food and Commercial Workers Union, or the UFCW, organized a coordinated campaign against George A. Hormel and Company, which makes hot dogs, chili, and many other food products. The UFCW local picketed and boycotted the Hormel Company, as well as corporations and banks that did business with Hormel. Union members also distributed leaflets to community members and to other unions to try to gain support for the UFCW locals' demands. Suppose that the dispatchers at the local police department go on strike. How will the city government respond to the strike? Officials might agree to the demands of the dispatchers' union. On the other hand, they might oppose the strike. 3 common management actions are hiring replacement workers, introducing a lockout, and asking for an injunction. The police department may decide to hire replacement dispatchers so that police officers will be able to respond to reports of crime. Finding qualified workers can be difficult, however, and picketing workers often try to intimidate strike breakers as they attempt to go to work. A lockout occurs when an employer closes a company's doors to striking workers until negotiators can reach a contract agreement that is satisfactory to management. Striking dispatchers who have been locked out by the police department will not be allowed to return to work, even if the strike ends before an agreement is reached. Lockouts can cause problems for employers, however. Employers may lose money if they are unable to hire other workers and production stops. The police department also might ask the government to issue an injunction or court order to prohibit the dispatchers from striking. There are restrictions on injunctions, but the Taft-Hartley Act permits the issuing of an injunction when a strike threatens the health or safety of the public. A police dispatcher strike may pose just such a threat, as police officers would not be informed of which crimes or disturbances required their attention. So that's the way it is with Lesson 10 Part 3, Unions and Management. At this point, you should know that contract negotiations typically involve wages and fringe benefits, working conditions, job security, union security, and grievance procedures. Unions and management rely on collective bargaining, mediation, and arbitration to negotiate contracts, and unions may resort to strikes, picketing, boycotting, and coordinated campaigning, while management can respond by agreeing to the union's demands or opposes a strike by hiring replacement workers, introducing lockouts, and seeking an injunction. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel to have the entire catalog of economics videos available at your fingertips. Click the subscribe button, then click the follow bell to receive notifications as to when the channel is updated. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in class, Dragons. See ya!